I'm the Mason Bee Lady of Nanaimo.
On this hobby farm in South Nanaimo, inside this tiny shed, inside this specially built box, there are thousands of mason bees waiting to come out of their cocoons.
When we first moved here from Victoria on this little hobby farm, I saw a bunch of flies outside my kitchen window. I said to Jim, I've got so many flies. Is it that farm across the street? So I got my fly swatter and went out and, very seriously started slapping all these flies from my kitchen window. Then I opened the kitchen window and the whole thing was lined with something like pollen.
Rose soon learned those bluish-tinged bugs were mason bees, which are 10 times more effective at pollinating than honeybees.
If you have no pollinating, you have no food, be it flowers or food for the table. And so it's important to have pollinating.
She soon started farming bees.
I recruited some of my neighbors, a lot of my friends, to put up these little tubes in these little houses, and they became breeders for me. And I now have a total of about 65 people that are producing mason bees in their yard. They're getting the pollinating, I get the mason bee cocoons and tubes back.
Mason bees complete their life cycle entirely on their own. They emerge in the spring from cocoons the female built by herself.
The boys come out first, always. They have to open that mud wall in the tubes.
The male is greenish in color and has a tuft of white on his face. He waits for the females to emerge, which are tinged blue and are slightly larger in size.
The boys come out and they're going to have about 10 seconds of ecstasy fertilizing the girls. And then the boys die right away. There's no messing around with these little creatures. And then the girls, once their bodies and their eggs have been fertilized, they start to go to work. They work until they're out of eggs.
Mason bees don't produce honey or wax. Their sole purpose is to create more mason bees.
She goes off at least 250 feet. She finds the blossoms. She goes deeper into the blossom than a honeybee or a bumblebee. She's faster. She kind of goes like zip, 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 zip.
The female mason bee begins building cells in deep holes she finds in nature and the man-made cardboard tubes.
And she comes back, she creates a nectar pollen lump. She goes in head first and she lays that. She comes back out of the tube, she backs in, lays an egg on top of this sticky mass. It's her baby's food supply for the rest of their lives. And then she goes off, finds more mud, and she'll come back and she'll put another mud wall.
She only lives for about 1 month.
They have enough eggs in each little body of the females to fill about 24 inches of the cardboard tubes.
By the summer, the larva has consumed all of its provisions and begins spinning a cocoon around itself and enters the pupal stage and matures while hibernating inside its insulated cocoon.
They're not moldy, and that's good. That's good. If they were moldy, everything inside would be dead. So we do them up in sets of 12 or 14 or 16, and I have a couple of thousand, to say the least. And so it's really very tedious, and you're pulling your hair out thinking, what's it, a girl or a boy? And I hire my dear grandchildren and pay them to help me sort out and put them in their little sets.
If you are farming bees at your home, the tube should be removed from the blue bee house in the fall and placed in a dry, cool place over winter, and then brought out in the spring alongside the house, filled with clean, new tubes, ready for the industrious mason bee to get to work again. In Nanaimo, I'm Annette Lucas.